buckle up. Here we go! Because the run home just got a little bumpier.
You cannot be serious!
I've got to sit here every friggin' week.
There's got to be an investigation into this. This is the Triple M Rush Hour with MG.
Welcome to Monday. Welcome to Mask-Free Day, MG. I am ecstatic. I'm over the moon. I can see people's mouths around the office today.
Nice to see a lot of smiling faces, wasn't it?
That's exactly what it is.
And of course, you don't really... One of the benefits, I suppose, of having a mask on in the office was that you don't show people your emotions. But today we're seeing a lot of smiles, which I love.
A lot of emotion, 80%. Well done, Sydney. Well done, New South
Bravo.
Wales. And well done us on the show we've got together today because we got to talk a little bit more about this Dolphins outfit because now not only have they got the opportunity to go shopping for players are putting themselves in the shop window for the Dolphins.
Yeah. Regan Campbell-Gillard over the weekend basically said, well, I want to go there as the face of the Dolphins, and I don't think he'll be the only one.
The moustache of the Dolphins, the official moustache of the Dolphins.
Be careful what you wish for.
We're going to look at Regan Campbell-Gillard's opportunities and some other players that might do a Regan Campbell-Gillard and put themselves front and centre. Brad Haddon, we're going to check in on our mate Brad, who's still in quarantine here in Sydney. We're going to talk some cricket with him, obviously, with some big developments over the weekend and the T20 World Cup getting underway. But off the top,
What's cracking?
the NRL, MG, is set to have a very, very fat bank account. According to Dean Ritchie in the Daily Telegraph today, Channel 7 have pulled out of the negotiations for the new broadcast rights deal, meaning that Channel 9 looks set to lock in a 5-year deal on track for worth nearly close to $600 million over the 5 years. Now, that money would be on top of the money already coming in from Fox Sports for their new deal, plus a big contract, a big sponsorship deal with Telstra. In short, the NRL looks like they're going to be cashing in somewhere in the vicinity of $2 billion over the next 5 years.
Yeah, look, the game, quite unbelievably, over the last 2 years is flourishing. It's flourishing. And we spoke to Peter V'landys on Friday about that. When you can introduce a new team in the current climate, like we have with the Dolphins, and looking for an 18th team maybe in the year after that in 2024, you're doing some right things. And look, I think V'landys, again, patting me on the back, is a major reason. Abdo has been fantastic. But I think what we're seeing on the footy field has just been really good rugby league in the last 18 months. It's been a kind of all the new rules came in, and all of a sudden, I know more eyes were on TV, obviously through COVID because you couldn't go anywhere. But I would dare say we got a whole new audience through COVID as well that are now going to be here to stay.
Right. Well, now we need to get to the important stuff because we need to spend this in the right way. If the game's got money coming in, you got to look after the clubs, and obviously they're going to be looked after with this 17th team coming in 2023. But the game has money to spend, and I'm going to turn to the bloke who the first thing he did when he signed his Super League contract with the Western Reds was to go out and buy his and hers matching jet skis.
Yeah.
I turn to you, MG, and say, how does the NRL need to spend this money? Where do they need to prioritise within the game?
Okay. Well, number one at the top of my list would be bush footy. There are so many teams and clubs going underwater in the bush, and we just seem to be watching them go by. I don't understand it. I don't understand why we aren't throwing them a lifeline. I think they're crying out for it. Every time I see another club in a Group 9 or a Group 11 or a Group 14 go under the water, I think, well, that's something that could have been avoided. I know. And my second point is probably why it's happening, because we aren't as visual as we once were in schools. I know that when I was playing rugby league that we'd had a roster and every player would have to do at least 2 school visits in our area per week. And I know that's changed because my kids in the last 10 years, when they were going through the back end of school, didn't see any footballers come to their school. They saw a lot of AFL players. They didn't see many NRL players. So let's zone in on the schools. I'd also have a women's competition, a 10-team women's competition that went for 20 rounds that went alongside the NRL. I think that we've got to get back to making the game day situation more appeasing to everyone. And I think you start with an under-20s game, then you have the New South Wales Cup game, and then you have the women's game. You've got 4 games at one ground. I mean, come on, I know sometimes logistically that might be hard, but when we can, we've got to try our hardest to get the women's game better than it is. It can't be just one of these things where we put it on in the semi-finals and there's 4 teams and they play each other 3 times. Come on. They deserve more respect than that, and I think they've got to be given that.
The argument people will present there with the women's thing is, if you're making it a part of the pre-game for the men's, are you diminishing the product? Doesn't it deserve to stand on its own 2 feet? And MG, I agree with you. I think making it a part of
I think it just needs a stage. I don't think they care when the stage is where the stage is or what time it is. They just need one. They need one consistently.
And the argument there is I would think that if it's part of your match day and it's a bigger, longer season, you can pay the women more, which is what they're after as well.
Of course. And there's so much participation in rugby league for the women. The girls are loving footy. And they, obviously, again, you got to, have a caveat under that because through COVID it's been very hard. And I understand that. But I'm talking about now the next 12 to 18 to 24 months. Let's start really concentrating on having a 10-team, 20-round women's competition that goes throughout the year instead of just having it as a bit of a 4-week thing at the end of the year.
So you're throwing money at bush footy, you're reinvigorating the school presence, the school programs for the game, and NRLW is getting a big cash injection. Where else are we spending some money?
Well, parents are doing it tough at the moment, and one of the biggest complaints I hear is that registration is way too high for kids. I think I started taking rugby league seriously towards the end of primary school as I was leading into high school. Once I got to probably 12, 13, I started to think, okay, I think I want to be a rugby league player when I get older. So I think we start by making the registration for kids under 11 free. I think we've got to have kids playing the game without really, really hurting like it is the parents' back pocket. They want their kids to play. Their 4 or 3 or 4 kids to play rugby league. But you know what? It's too expensive. It's too expensive. So go and play soccer, which is not as expensive, or something. One of the not the minor sports in the world, but in Sydney at the moment, you go and play a sport that doesn't cost as much as rugby league, and we lost kids again. So I think there's ways. The basic ways, okay, would be, as you said, schools, bush footy, women's competition, and let's look at some free rego for the kids who are playing who haven't quite decided what they want to do yet. But hey, 9 times out of 10 is because they can't afford it.
That is a very responsible spending of $2 billion by you just there.
I've got one other thing.
Okay.
I think the NRL need to get Triple M a helicopter.
Oh, no.
For all Triple M commentators of the NRL to go every game, both here and interstate.
We got so close to you managing these funds with responsibility and foresight, and then you want to throw in a helicopter. What helicopter? Tell me. We need a Black Hawk to fly around you and Wendell Saylor, Gordon Tallis. We're not going to fit you through. In fact, I'd like to spend the money one way. Could we make the commentary boxes at Brookvale Oval just the tiniest bit bigger?
Just so we can get in sideways at least.
Because when Wendell has to sit on MG's lap to commentate a Manly Seagulls game...
It does make it hard to sit there for 2 hours with Wendell on my knee, yeah. It does. But I love him, so lucky.
MG, we are well and truly into cricket. The T20 World Cup kicked off overnight. A couple of...
Minnows?
The Minnows getting amongst it, trying to win their way into the main part of the tournament to play against Australia and India and the like. Obviously, the Women's Big Bash is underway as well. So when we talk cricket, we go to our friend, former Test player for Australia. And we go to it because we know we can get him. We know he can't go anywhere.
Hey, he's not running anywhere. He's stuck.
Brad Haddon, stuck in quarantine still here in Sydney. How are you, Hads?
Boys, I've been waiting for this call. This is the most exciting thing that's happened to me in 7 days.
What are you up to at the moment? How long have you got to go and paint a little picture for us?
Mate, I'll paint a picture. I'm looking out the window at the moment. The window I can't open, and beautiful blue sky. I can see a coffee shop down there, and I reckon a bloke's ordered a Corona. And that's still in my head. But yeah, I get out Saturday afternoon. So yeah, this is great to talk to you again. Actually,
you still got another week to go.
Yeah, another week. So yeah, we've got to do the 14 days. I'll tell you what I did just complete though. I just completed my 61st negative COVID test.
Oh,
61st. My goodness.
Yeah. Oh,
so obviously you've been watching from afar. You've been watching Freedom Day here in Sydney. You've been watching the Everest at Randwick where 10,000 people went. What's the one thing you can't wait to do when you get out of quarantine, Hads?
I'll tell you what it is. Obviously, I've got to say the right thing and see your family and everything.
Of course.
Like that. But I tell you what I'm looking forward to most: a cold beer in a schooner glass. That's all I want, just one.
Well, I had 24 for you on Friday, so I tell you what, it does rock you a bit because you're not used to the gas in the tap beer. Whoa.
Yeah. It was the gas, not the number of them,
No,
MJ. Yeah,
no.
right. Hey,
Drink responsibly.
Brad, let's talk a bit of cricket. We'll get to the Ashes in a moment. I want to get your take on the lineup and what it's looking like for Australia at the moment. But the T20 World Cup kicked off overnight, and we saw Oman get the win over Papua New Guinea and Scotland get a win over Bangladesh. What is it like when you go up against these minnow nations in the cricketing world?
Yeah, it's the unknown. You don't know a lot about the players. Analytics plays a huge role in sport these days, so nothing's really off the table. But when you're playing against the minnow countries, you don't know a lot about the players, which I like about a World Cup as well, the excitement and the theatre of it. When you come up against them, you've got to be on your game because you just don't know what they're going to offer. And Bangladesh, they seen the brunt of that last night against Scotland.
Well, there's a pecking order, Hads, as far as the cricketing nations go. But at the moment, I read a stat, I think, yesterday where someone like Pakistan have won their last 10 games at the United Arab Emirates. And I think their captain, Azam, has come out and basically said, well, we should be up there amongst the favourites because of our recent history at the UAE. Where did someone like Pakistan sit on the pecking order of T20?
Yeah, I think they're right up there. I've got them actually going through to the semi-final stage. They haven't had the opportunity to play a lot of cricket in Pakistan over the last few years, and the UAE's been their home, so they know those conditions really well. And the one thing about Pakistan when you play them in World Cups is the unknown of them. They're so unpredictable. They can get beaten by a team like Oman and come out the next day and put it to India or Australia. So I see Pakistan being right up there in the last stages. And I see Matthew Hayden has also taken a consultancy role up with them for the part of the tournament. So maybe he'll confuse them a bit with his theories.
Now, let's talk about Test cricket because we are edging ever closer to this Ashes series. We now know that the Poms are coming out and they're bringing as solid a squad as they can offer, as we spoke to you about last time. What about the Aussie squad, though? Because we spoke to you last time and the spot's under question with who's going to open with David Warner. And now we see Will Pucovski, this young man, 23 years of age, suffering yet another concussion. That must be heartbreaking for him.
Yeah, it is scary. I was just reading that's his 11th concussion he's had because of being hit by a cricket ball. I think one thing there, it starts to become not only a worry for him personally and everyone around, but also his family. Do they have they got a decision to make to have an extended break out of the game? But for someone so young to have so many concussions, and we know the research around all that these days is very alarming. So it'll be interesting to see how he comes back. But I know one guy we spoke about last week was Usman Khawaja, and he's put his name up with a huge 100. And Moses Enriques is the other one. I'd like to see New South Wales be able to get some cricket real soon because I think he can push for a spot in the middle order. So I'm hoping to see him come out and shoot the lights out with state cricket.
Just back on Will Bukowski for a second. I said when we heard about the 11th concussion that he received that look, it happens in contact sport. We hear about it a lot. We're basically being re-educated as we go, and we're being a lot more vigilant about head knocks and HIA. With cricketers, it's got to be a hit to the head, which is alarming.
Yeah, what's alarming as well, MG, is someone so young being hit that many times. It then all of a sudden becomes a mental issue, obviously, with your technique you're playing with the short ball, and taking him into a test match. I know you have concussion subs these days that can cover for events like this, but it must also start to put doubt in your mind when you're going to come up against an England team that they're looking for blood. They want to get the Ashes back. You know, and we've spoken long and hard about the theatre and the competition in this form of the game. So it must start to put doubts in your head about you standing in the game.
Well, when we wait and see, and I mean Travis Head performing outstandingly well for South Australia in the one days as well. He's putting his hand up for that number 5 position. So it's getting exciting. It's what you want to see. It's what you want to see Aussie batsmen making runs at state level and putting their hand up and demanding to be picked. You can't make any runs at the moment. Has the only runs, I imagine. Have you mapped out a track around the hotel room? Is there a running path worn into the carpet yet?
I'll tell you what there is. I've actually got a treadmill.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got a treadmill to come in, but to paint a picture of that, it sounds all romantic. Yes, I can hop on a treadmill and everything, but I've got no windows. Like, I felt hungover for about 14 days, you do, because you can't get any fresh air in. My mates aren't helping me. They're sending me, like, things of Krispy Kreme donuts and trying to fatten me up before I get out of here. So they're helping a lot.
Well, you broke some records because we have a receipt here from your room service over the past 9 days, and $6,524. Most of that is Coronas, a couple of club sandwiches, but there seems to be a theme in the movies you're watching in-house, like The Martian, Castaway, 127 Hours, Panic Room.
I tell you what, do not turn over that receipt. If they're the only movies you're seeing on there, do not turn over the other side of that.
There's a lot of betting on Shartin.
Yeah, there's a lot of betting. The Everest, that helped on the weekend. I enjoyed watching the races, but as I said, do not check the other side of that receipt for the movies.
We might have to put in a call to our mate Peter Volandis to ensure that Brad Haddon has a bit of a room and a chair and a seat somewhere at the next live racing event once he gets out of quarantine.
That's the least we can do.
That's the least we can do. Hads, a pleasure. 1 week to go. You're almost there, Freedom. It's so close, Hads.
No worries. Thanks, boys.
It's a very big day for the rush hour today, MG.
Oh, yeah.
Very big day because, look, footy's done, and I know people miss it. The tipping competitions, the NRL Super Coach, all the things that go with footy, people miss them. But we've got something that we think might be a
good substitute.
A nice little substitute to fill that hole in people's lives.
Revel in the spirit of the Melbourne Cup Carnival, October 30 to November 6. vrc.com.au. This is the Rush Hour Melbourne Cup Tipping League.
Oh, yeah.
The horses are on the track.
They certainly are.
The horse racing masterminds are in the studio. We have got a racing tipping comp, MG.
Simple as that, basically.
That's it.
Yeah, it's amazing, and there's some bit of moolah, compa, wampa.
Exactly. This isn't. It's not a betting thing. We are simply tipping like you would on a weekend of footy. We have created our very own Rush Hour tipping league. You can tip against MG and I, and the winner of the league walking away with $2,000.
$2,000, simple as that.
$2,000 easy.
$2,000 for taking on me and you. Oh, good luck with that.
Now,
we are aficionados.
If we lay our cards on the table, MG might be tough to beat in this competition because you actually follow the ponies.
Yes.
I don't know the front end from the back end, if I'm being honest.
Actually, you know what? You're the favourite. You will win this then, because the more you know, the less you know in racing.
Triple M win page. Go there for all the details. You can sign up. You can take on MG and I in our tipping competition. It all kicks off Saturday the 30th of October. Derby Day will be day one of this tipping competition. You can sign up now either at giddyupflemington.com.au or you head to Triple M win page for all the details. I mean, you got the Derby Day, then you got the Melbourne Cup, then Oaks Day, McKinnon Stakes Day. You've got all this great racing ahead. And rather than, going on for and trying to worry about how to figure out putting a bet on, you can just tip against us. Easy as that.
Against us. Yeah, have a go against us. See who the winner is. $2,000.
Can you and I win that money, out of curiosity?
Under another alias, maybe. I might be Steve from Penrith.
Dave Flanagan's about to win $2,000.
Who?
Just this guy I know.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, your mate.
Just my mate Dave.
Yeah, bring him in. Because everybody's welcome.
GiddyUpFlemington.com.au or head to the Triple M win page for all the information. All you got to do is pick winners and you can win yourself $2,000 in the Rush Hour Tipping League. Let's get back to talking some rugby league. MG, the Dolphins. Now, this has been the big story over the last couple of weeks. The Dolphins, Redcliffe, formerly known as Redcliffe Dolphins, will be the 17th team in the NRL come 2023. Still no official confirmation that Wayne Bennett will be the coach of this team. We all assume it's a done deal.
Yeah, it is.
Well, we all assume it's a done deal.
I can't see anything red tape in the interim. There's nothing going to stop the Supercoach from coaching this team.
Imagine if Paul Green popped up as the coach and we always went, what? What just happened? Anyway.
Well, that'd be a shame because, with all due respects to Paul Green, I think this new franchise needs someone like Wayne Bennett to get off the ground.
Well, it does, and then it also the next big issue is November 1. That is the day on which players who are off contract at the end of 2022 can be signed. Now, the news over the weekend came out of nowhere. Regan Campbell-Gillard's manager has told the Eels that he will not be taking up his player option for the 2023 season, essentially making himself available for the Dolphins to sign.
Yeah, and you know what? He won't be the last player to do so. We spoke about this when we heard about the franchise being rubber stamped, and we said, well, they gave a fantastic audition for the last 6 months of coming to Queensland because one of RCG's reasons for the switch was the blue skies. He said it's 22 degrees in the middle of winter. Why wouldn't you want to come up here? And he won't be the last person. The corporate dollar has been flowing. They've got to knock back people for money. The Dolphins at the moment. There's so many businesses who want to get involved with them. The corporate dollar is going to be unbelievable. Third party is going to be unbelievable for the Dolphins. So,
well, you think about every company that hasn't been able to get in on the Broncos.
Yeah,
they're like, my door's open. I can finally get a crack.
Brisbane is a big city.
It's the third biggest city in Australia. So, real opportunity here, and it's exciting. Now, we have talked about previously, you've named marquee players. You think Cam Munster is an obvious interest to the Dolphins. Gordy said on our show, Gordon Teller said that Harry Grant is the man that the Dolphins need to be targeting. But with the player like Regan Campbell-Gillard, he's not likely to be the main face on the poster. A nice accompanying, maybe a nice 2 or 3, but not the main face. So I wanted to explore the idea of some other players that might be saying to the Dolphins, show me the money. Where are some of these other...
And the blue skies.
And the blue skies. Where are some of these other role-type players, the glue guys?
You need a really good spine to start yourself off.
Sure.
Someone like a Gutho might be in their sights, or they might go for a young guy, like even they might even try and raid the Titans with young Jaden Campbell. I know he just re-signed, but hey, what's a signature these days on a contract? Come on. I don't think they'll get Harry Grant. There's something telling me that Harry Grant will stay staunch to the Storm, but
really?
But I think someone like Brandon Smith might be an ideal number 9 for them. You mentioned a good one the other day in Christian Welsh. I think he's a fantastic player with a great ethos, comes from a fantastic culture. They need an alpha male. They need an alpha male to hang their hat on. They need a bloke up front like a Welsh or a Campbell-Gillard to start them off, and then everything will fall into place. But 6s, 7s, 1s and 9s want to know they've got some bodyguards.
Let me throw some names at you then, because I've had a look around at some possible glue options, because you can't just play the game
I'll give you a rating out of 10 with probability.
All right, well, you can't just play the game with a 9, 6, 7 and a 1. You need players elsewhere. So I'm going to throw some names at you. These are some players that maybe aren't where they'd like to be in the pecking order of their club. Charlie Staines.
Charlie Staines, well, he burst on the scene and scored something like 5 tries in 2 games. And I think Charlie, to go to the next level in the NRL, needs to put on 7, 8 kilograms. Most of the wingers these days are chunky little Berbers, and they've got, the pool table legs and like the Brian To'os of the world and the Nofalumas, and all they're 6'8", and they can jump above like Saabs of the world. And
so he's a little bit in between. So
Charlie is caught between a rock and a hard place at the moment. He's as fast as a gazelle, but he's not as strong as an ox yet. So he's got but I'd say a probability out of 10, a 5.
All right. What about Tarek Sims? It looks like he's going to play out the final year of his deal at the Dragons next year.
I'd say a 7.
He's 32 years of age.
I love it.
We're
trying our hardest to get him a club, aren't we?
We are. We love him. Now, here are my 2 favourites, right? Because if we look at what Regan Campbell-Gillard has done with his player option, this bloke also has a player option for 2023. Dylan Brown.
Yeah, I could see Dylan Brown playing 7 and Munster playing 6 for the new franchise. I'm sorry for Parramatta fans who are listening to this, and we're talking about Reid Marnie and Gutho and young Dylan Brown, but the cold hard facts are that the Eels haven't signed these guys yet, and now that Campbell-Gillard's walking away, just to back on that for a sec, I don't understand the timing of that. Is it because he's trying to get in first before anyone else does, or is it because he's just had enough of Parramatta, or I don't get the timing of it.
It's very strange. I put a call into our man Brent Reid to get him to explain this to me, and there is no real incentive. There's no obvious need for Regan Campbell-Gillard and his management to have made this decision and told the club already. It sounds like round 10 next year was the deadline where he either had to take up the player option or decline it.
He's adamant.
He's made his decision.
He's adamant.
Well, here, I'll give you one more name, MG. And
go for it.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that in 2024, this man will be playing for the Dolphins. Can't go there in 2023 because he's still contracted, but in 2024, he will be playing for the Dolphins. He's 25 years of age. He's a front rower. He's a Redcliffe Dolphins junior.
Ooh.
And he's at a club that has currently got an influx of forwards, props coming his way. Josh Kerr.
Oh, Josh Kerr from the Dragons.
Josh Kerr from the Dragons.
Well, I think he'd be on their list. He's obviously, again, another kid who burst on the scene. When he played in the All-Star games, the Maori and Indigenous All-Star games, starred for a couple of years in a row, and everyone thought, okay, let's watch this kid close. And unfortunately for him, had a quiet year this year, but most of the Dragons did, given the circumstances. They had the play under. After that loss to the Warriors, they didn't win another game. So, yeah, look, I like him. 6'5". He could play front row, back row. He's skillful. And as you mentioned, he's a Redcliffe junior, so that ticks all boxes.
And he made his debut back in 2019 against the Wayne Bennett coached South Sydney Rabbitohs. And if I know Wayne, like I think I know Wayne would have made a mental note back in 2019 and said, when I sign as the head coach of the Dolphins for 2023, I'm bringing this kid back home.
Well, Wayne has got a history of bringing players with him when he goes to clubs. Obviously, Darius Boyd first comes to mind, and Jaden Sewer.
You think Darius Boyd's going to sign for the Dolphins?
I don't think so. Jaden Sewer, Beau Scott. So, look, you've got to think that at least 2 or 3 of the current South Sydney players are going to go to the Dolphins. Which ones, but that's the one. That's the thing. Which ones? Is it someone like Cody Walker, who can see himself playing the rest of his time under the Supercoach, who he loves? So
this might have to be a regular thing, the Dolphins jigsaw puzzle
Dolphin watch.
that we start. Dolphin watch.
And we can play the Flipper jingle.
They call
Do you
him
remember
Flipper,
King.
faster than lightning.
No one you see is faster than he.
Yeah, I remember that show. Yeah.
They call him Flipper.
Before we finish up for your Monday, let's do this.
Has MG been paying attention?
Oh, there
Not
was
so much this weekend,
there
I
was
must
a
confess.
heap of
Not so
sport
much.
over the weekend. I play MG a grab. He needs to tell me what the sport is and what the story is, straight off the top.
I think something's going to come from behind, which is Masked Crusader or last year's Winnicott Seek Legend. I think they're the two that I think will win.
Yeah, Pete Delandy's predicting the winner, didn't he? Nature Strip.
Nature Strip in front of Eduardo. Masked Crusaders jumping out of the ground. Just missed. Nature Strip clings on. He's king of the mountain this time.
Nature Strip, the winner of the 5th ever running of the Everest at Royal Randwick on Saturday. Our tip, the show's tip, Eduardo, going well for 2nd place, but didn't quite get there.
Yeah, it was a fantastic day. It's an amazing race. Everyone at my house was captured, and it's when you got $15 million as a first prize offer, you're going to get some great horses. And we saw a great race.
Yeah, well done. And of course, in the Caulfield Cup over the weekend as well, Incentivise, which is now
favourite for Melbourne Cup.
Well, I think it was the favourite for the Melbourne Cup before the race, but now it stands on the cusp of a Cup double, which I couldn't tell you the last time we saw one of those. So, Incentivise, something to keep an eye on for the first Tuesday in November. Righto, MG. Next one. What's the sport? What's the story?
Exum on McConnell. It's great night continues. Oh, my.
Sounds like NBA to me.
That's correct.
The pre-season of the NBA?
Yeah. What's the story we're looking at?
I would say it would be Ben Simmons related.
It is not Ben Simmons.
Dante Exum is on the hunt for a new team after being waived by the Houston Rockets just days out from the start of the NBA season.
NBA season gets underway this week, and Dante Exum is unemployed. The Rockets, who he signed a month ago, he signed a 3-year deal worth $20 million over the life of it, but none of the money was guaranteed, has been waived.
That sucks.
It does.
Poor Dante.
The injuries haven't helped him. He was a huge part of that Boomers bronze first ever Olympic medal at the Games in Tokyo this year in Japan. But you would think, I would think, that of the 31 other teams, there'd be somebody who'd look at Dante Exum, a fit and healthy Dante Exum, and say, we can use him. So
I'd say, Popper, have a look at him. You lost Paddy. You lost one export of Australia. Go get him. Get Dante to go to the Spurs, my team.
Keep an eye on this Josh Giddey when he makes his debut. Josh Giddey, he's going to be something for the Oklahoma City Thunder this year. Right, MG, one more to get through. What's the sport? What's the story?
La Ranita, the frog, is rocking Jarvis.
Our boy, Brocky Jarvis.
Oh, man.
He was rocked. His first fight in the States in the second round, he was about 10-1 on to win the fight. And in the second round, the underdog almost took him out. But they're the things that you need to do if you're going to become a great boxer, because he showed that he's got a great chin.
And they're going to stop it. Brock Jarvis was moments away from having the fight stopped in Frias's favor. Now it's stopped in his favor.
So Brock Jarvis, 23 years old, the lightweight, trained by Jeff Fennick. He remains undefeated in his professional career, and it was a hell of a fight. I couldn't believe this is the same kid that came in studio with us, what was it, back in 2018. He is just muscle.
Put some size on, hasn't he?
Hasn't he put some size on? I mean, when he came in here, he was this scrawny thing, and I thought, oh, maybe I could take him.
Hear that, Brock?
I wouldn't go near him with your physique now. He's just...
Well, interestingly, the promoter, Eddie Hearn, wants him to hang around and be on the next fight in the state. So he started. His career started, and I think it was in dramatic fashion. If he went out the way that everyone thought he was going to do in that second round, then even the commentator said he's gone almost. Like he had to dig really deep.
Yeah,
really deep. And I think he learned a real valuable lesson that'll take him through to a lot of fame.
Yeah, well done to Brock. Well done to Jeff as well. We might have to get those two gentlemen on the show before we finish up for the year. MG, that's us done for you Monday. Tomorrow, now I'm going to warn you in advance. Yep. I do have another quiz prepared for you about the year we've just experienced.
Yeah, he told me it was Olympics, so I've been studying my Olympic history.
Very good. I expect you to get full marks on tomorrow's quiz then.
I will. At least 75%. Anyway, thank you so much for your ears. He's Liam. I'm MG. Wherever you are, stay random.